All right, we are back. CITIUS MAG live from Eugene, and I'm joined by the one and only Anna Hall, who can now add Olympian to her resume.
Yes.
How does that sound?
It doesn't really sound real yet. Like every time I say it or someone else says it, I'm like, oh yeah, like that did happen. So it definitely hasn't set in yet, but I'm super excited.
The emotion at the finish line, like it's in all of the pictures. It was like as soon as you cross the finish line, it was just all pouring out of you. Like, what just led to that outburst?
Yeah, I think just how hard this road has been. I actually started getting like emotional after the javelin, and then I was like, you can't like feel like this. You still have to run. Like I have to finish it. But yeah, this year's just been like so hard, and I think my coaches and those around me can kind of attest to that. Like there were a lot of days where I was just like, track's not fun anymore. Like, is this worth it? I don't think this is going to work. And so I feel like the emotions of coming from there to being like, oh, wow, we really did this. Just all flooded out of me.
Walk me through, I guess, like the competition over the span of 2 days, because I guess I heard from our friend Anderson Bobo that like during the high jump competition, you also had just kind of like an emotional outburst, just sort of like, we are back, or like, I am so back. Like, what... Yeah. Clicked, I guess, on day one, and then day two obviously was so epic.
Yeah. For me, high jump has always been like such a touch and go event. Like it's one of my best, and it's my baby. I love it so much, but it's really scary. It's usually kind of painful, even when you're healthy. It's a very hard event to be good at, and coming back from my foot surgery, that was like the last thing to come. And so we kind of expected that with my knee, and it's just been terrifying. It's been painful in practice sometimes, and it's super emotional when that one's not going well. And I think my coaches kind of use that. They're like, high jump is a barometer for your overall confidence, because when I'm not doing well there, I just don't feel like myself, because I started out track as a high jumper. So I was like, I am a high jumper. And when I started to have some jumps where I felt like myself in the competition finally, and I was starting to be able to press that button and like be clutch, I was just like, I'm back. And I knew once I got through high jump, if I had got through hurdles and high jump with season's best, I was like, it's over. But I was really stressed about getting through those two. Yeah.
I feel like every single time we've seen you at a meet, whether that was like at Florida Relays or New York City Grand Prix, every single time like reporters or people would talk to you, it'd be just sort of just like asking about sort of like the knee injury and just like the knee surgery. And it was like, she's working through it. I think it was just kind of like constantly like what I would come back to, like, there's no major update aside from the fact like it takes a lot of time and work. Now that we're at this point where you've secured your spot on the Olympic team, how do you look back at these last couple months and, just sort of the road back?
Yeah, I look back at them and I'm just really like proud that I didn't quit, because there were so many days leaving practice where I was just absolutely defeated. I didn't want to go the next day, and then my coaches were like, we've never seen you like this, like what's going on? And then I'd go home, cry myself to sleep sometimes. I'd wake up and then just show up again the next day and like try again. And so I'm really proud of that. And also, I think it has been a lot, like with a lot of eyes on it being an Olympic year and things. Everyone was constantly asking me like, how's your knee? Like, are you going to be ready? And I'm not going to say no. Yeah. So I was just like, like it's going well, I think. Like, I don't really know where I'm supposed to even be at yet. So I did feel like I was kind of lying to everybody almost, or just having to put on this facade of like, yes, I'm okay, because I'm not going to say no and start crying in front of you. Like, that just doesn't make sense. I do feel like I kind of had to fake it till I made it there.
I'm just thinking of just how last year, I think it was, or 2 years ago, we did that like day in the life of Anna Hall video. And you're so happy, positive, and just kind of going through sort of like a day in your life. And at that moment, you're healthy, everything's clicking. So in those moments where you're saying like there was so much self-doubt, how different does that Anna Hall look like from this sort of like time period?
Night and day. It got pretty dark there for a few months. Like I just wake up, show up to what I'm supposed to do, and like it's mellow, like no words really, just like, okay, what do you want me to do? I don't really care, whatever. And everyone around me was like, that's just like not her. And I do feel like for a little bit it was just so stressful that like I had a breakdown after I think my opener at Tom Jones. And I was just like, every day is just so hard. Like I don't know how long I can do this, because like every day is a battle. And my coaches were like, okay, like take a few days off and then like we'll come back and try again. And so, it got very dark there, but I had a lot of people around me that just kind of kept like plugging me along. And I feel like we all just kind of tried to pretend it was going to be okay until it actually was.
It's funny because like we've been sitting down with like Emma Coburn here like the last couple days, and she broke her ankle, but now is like 7 weeks later already like back to running workouts, and 2 days after the surgery was already in the gym doing hours and hours on the bike. What did that look like for you? I guess sort of that cross training period where it's hard, like you just have to put in the work, and it's not, this is like the heart, just mentally staying locked in. But again, this is why you guys are elite athletes.
Yeah, it's really hard. And I think rehabbing at an elite level is like so different than most people think, because you're like, oh, you just had surgery, like you're gonna be like resting, and it's like, no, like I need to work as hard as I can, probably harder than I work on the track, just to get the same result. And so I think a few days after surgery, I was on the rower. We'd put my foot to the side on the box.
I remember seeing this on your Instagram story.
Yeah, and I was doing rowing workouts and going lactic on the rower, which is miserable. And I'm like, I would rather just run. So yeah, it's really not fun at all. And you're just kind of like pushing the bounds kind of what's possible. And I'm sure Emma's doing that as well, and like going under the guidance of your surgeon of like, how fast can we do this? And the first day I saw my PT, she kind of looked at us like, this timeline is like kind of crazy. And she's like, it just makes sense enough that like, I think we can do it. But she was like, if he would have touched anything else in your knee, or if you needed to be ready any quicker, like I would just tell you, no, like I can't help you with this. And so it was really just about getting everybody on board and making a plan.
Yeah, I guess like, how close was it that like the surgery, because even when I think like that was January, how close was it that it could have knocked you out for like the year?
Yeah, really close. And in hindsight, actually, I found out in late December. I got my scan back like the day Christmas Eve it was, and that was terrible timing for the news. And then every like knee surgeon that we could possibly have wanted to talk to is like on holiday. And I'm like, I need to have surgery like tomorrow. Like, when can we get this done? So yeah, it ended up being January 10th. And I remember then I was stressed because I was like, every single day is like going to matter like so much. And so looking back, it's kind of scary to think, I'm like, oh, what would have happened if it was like a week later? Because last week I don't know that I would have been ready. And I asked my coach, actually, I was like, do you think the timing worked out, or do you think that like I just knew it was like time to go? And she was like, I don't think we would have been ready 2 weeks ago. So I think it was very, very close. Yep.
Oh my gosh. And throughout like the whole time too, like I just think about the last couple months and how the Olympic year ramps up. Yeah. You coming off of 2 world championships where you've had this sort of success, you are looked to as like one of the athletes that like NBC is like, we gotta make commercials and just like really plaster this athlete everywhere. The other additional sort of sponsors come out. You have to put on a happy face through all of that. Was that hard? Yeah,
it was so hard. I actually did a shoot with Coca-Cola like a week after my surgery.
Oh my gosh.
And I went there on crutches, and like I'd stand on one foot and they took the crutches off. And so I remember I was like, are they gonna like be really worried that like I'm on crutches right now and it's an Olympic year? And thankfully they were super, super supportive and just positive. But it was really hard to act positive, and I felt like the weight of the world on my shoulders. Like this last month, like I have not slept through a night. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking about like, how can I fix the hurdles? Like, is this gonna work? And really that's just like not healthy, but it's just what happened. So yeah, I'm definitely happy to be through that part of it.
So what do you do when you do wake up in just like a cold sweat over like an event? How do you get yourself back to sleep?
I usually didn't go back to sleep, or like I'd a lot of times wake up at like 2 or 3 a.m. and then I'd be up until like 5 a.m. and I'd fall back to asleep for a few hours. So, it's been really hard. We've been really, really, really stressed. So.
Is that okay? So let's go to last night's tweet where it was at 11:13 p.m. Pacific time. Finally, I can breathe. We are going to Paris. I mean, I love how like everyone is just kind of like posting it to contrast the one from June 26, 2021. My heart is broken. I'll be back.
Yeah.
So last night, this weight off of your shoulders and like finally being able to breathe. How good did that feel?
Yeah, it felt so good. Yeah, I just feel like the stress that I was under, like it's hard to put into words. And so to finally just know that like it's done and like I did it, I feel like so relieved, and I'm just like, like that's literally what I was like, I can breathe again. Like I feel like I've been holding my breath this entire year. Like, is this gonna work? And even telling my coaches, I was like, I can't miss out on Olympics like back to back like this. I was like, I don't know. Like I told Coach Peterson, I was like, I don't know if I'll like survive that, like, and want to keep going. And he was like, shut up, like don't say that. Like even there's so much more out there. And I was just like, no, like I think if I miss this twice for injuries, like I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to continue. So yeah, it feels really good.
The actual 800 and just how aggressive like you race. I mean, it's just sort of like classic you and how you run an 800 in that moment, just knowing that in 2-ish minutes, like this was all going to be done. What's going through your head on that starting line? Yeah.
I kept just telling myself, I was like, it's right there, like go take it. And I was a little bit scared actually, since I haven't run an 800 this year, and we knew we were pretty fit, and I did a ton of cross training, but usually when I'm on the line, that's what I think about is I'm like, okay, like 3 weeks ago I ran this time, so it's gonna be fine. So definitely a little bit of anxiety there as well. And then I just tried to tell myself to run like for the January 10th Anna, and just thought about like how much pain I'd been through in the last 6 months. With the actual surgery was painful, all the different injections I've had in my knee are painful, like learning how to run again was painful, and I was like, 2 laps is nothing compared to that. So that's what I thought about.
When you reunite with your family, which shout out to your mom wearing the CITIUS MAG I Love Track and Field hat and getting us some free advertising on NBC and at Hayward Field. What did they say to you, or what did you say to them? Because it was the first people you went to.
Yeah. I mean, they have been my absolute rocks through this entire thing. And deep, dark Anna is not a happy Anna, is not a nice Anna. Like, they've put up with a lot. And so just to go over to see them, it was so emotional. And they just kept telling me, they're like, you're an Olympian, like you did it. Like, I'm so proud of you. We knew you could do it. And yeah, that was such an emotional moment. And my oldest sister even, like, she was grabbing my face and she was sobbing. And I was just like, I've never seen them like that. And like, I knew they were proud of me, but I didn't, I guess, really feel the extent of it until that moment. I was just like, oh my goodness. So yeah, that was special.
All right. And then the other thing that you posted was your journal from like the last couple. Was this from yesterday or the last 2 days?
Yeah, it was the last 2 days.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's unpack some of it. All right. So I want to start with like first off, let's talk about your handwriting. You're getting some crap for your handwriting. I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, it's definitely not up to normal, I feel like, girl standards. I feel like I write like a guy. I've gotten that a lot in my messages, so thank you guys. But yeah, not my strong suit.
All caps. I'm still here. This is my event, my title. I'm going to I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
My spot. Okay. Yeah, I messed up the order there.
Yeah, it doesn't go normal. It's just however I think it, I write it.
All right. Well, what was it like, I guess, to put all of that to paper?
Yeah. Honestly, when I went to write that, I do this for every meet, especially every heptathlon. The night before, I kind of write my intentions. And a lot of times I'm trying to tell myself how I want to feel. It's not necessarily how I actually feel. Mm-hmm. I kind of like write it into existence and set my goals. I remember I started writing that one and I like didn't know what to put because I've never done a heptathlon where I didn't feel ready going into it, honestly. So I was like, I guess I'll try to convince myself of this. And yeah, and then I just thought about, actually, this is track and field news. I remember they projected me to be like 3rd.
Wait, what? For this competition?
Yes. And
what?
I remember, I think it came out like early in the year and even up until right before. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, I mean, it made sense on paper, so like no shade, but it like made me so mad. I was like, no, like I'm still here, like that is my title. And so I was kind of thinking about that and just trying to prove to myself that I'm still the same athlete that I was before my surgery.
The part that someone highlighted in the comment section is, I am the nastiest competitor here, effing act like it. And then after that, it goes right into a Bible verse, and it says, "And even when I am afraid, I put my trust in Him." Psalms 56:3. And who am I to doubt? So, quite the contrast there. But you said it does match sort of your personality.
Yes, yeah, a little bit. I think I come off sometimes as like a little bit soft-spoken and like shyer and bubbly, which is true, but I definitely have a button and an edge. I don't think you could do track at a high level without it. So, yeah, you can kind of see that come out there. And that was something I told myself a lot of times throughout this recovery process was I felt like I was acting like such a baby the whole time when I would have all these stressful emotions. And I was like, you're literally supposed to be one of the best athletes in the world. Like, why aren't you carrying yourself better than this? So that was almost like a stern, like talking to myself. I was like, you need to act like who you're supposed to be. So. Yep.
All right. What stands out to you from the other two pages? The next one gets kind of, you start throwing around a lot of numbers, and then it ends with "prove them wrong," all caps.
Yes.
Prove them wrong is like the projections.
Yes, the track and field news. And I think, during the season, there was a lot of people asking, is she going to be ready? And I just felt the doubt. And I mean, I had it myself, but I could just kind of feel people around me like holding their breath, kind of like, is this going to work? And I think that competitor in you was always like, I don't think there was anybody out there rooting against me, but I'm sure there were some people that weren't mad about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
and so I think the person that I am, I like to have a chip on my shoulder, so I was like, I'm thinking about you.
CITIUS MAG never doubted Anna Hall, just for the record, guys. All right, then if we flip to the next one, I can, I will, I must. I can, I will, I must. I can, I will, I must. Today I will become an Olympian. Enjoy it. I mean, it's just perfect.
Yeah, that one, I can, I will, I must. Coach Peterson he writes us notes before big competitions the night before, and he's put that in there so many times ever since my first year at Florida. And then I remember my first NCAA title was the first time I used a journal like this, and actually the first page of that exact journal I wrote like, today I will become an NCAA champion, and it happened. So I kind of wrote that down again, and then I told myself to enjoy it because I think I've been so caught up in not being at the level that I'm used to being at that I like stole the joy from myself of like, I have the chance to become an Olympian. Like, why would I be upset about the score,
Yeah.
So yeah, just a reminder.
Do you ever go back and reread some of those other early entries, or where do you keep them?
Yeah, I do go back. And sometimes I laugh because I'm like, why was I thinking that? But
my handwriting was better.
Like reminisce sometimes. And especially actually on the cues that I use in the technical events. Like if I have a really good meet, like I go back to that GOTS's page a lot and I'm like, what did I write down for high jump then? And I'm like, oh, let's try to get in like that headspace. So it's become a really good resource for me.
I mean, it is really cool because, like, all throughout the year, like, when you do share on Instagram stories, like, you post, like, your workouts. I'm like, oh, is Coach Holloway, like just want her to put all of this information out there?
Not.
Probably not, but, like, it's super cool to see for, like, the people who just, like, are super into, like, the training side of things. All right, on the final page for day 2, like, there is, a lot of technical stuff here for the long jump and javelin. 800, win. And you go, listen. 59 to 60, no faster. Run your heart out. Run smart. Run brave. And what's the last part? It's right there, right?
Yeah.
So I don't remember your splits, but how'd you do on that?
I went out, I think in 59.2 or like 59.02. So I was happy with that. Michelle almost dragged me out too fast, and I was very tempted to just like take the lead from her, but I was like, no, I'm gonna be 58, and Coach Holloway's gonna be pissed. I was trying to really listen to them and not go out in 58, 57 like I usually do, and then just fight really hard coming home. So yeah.
When you do post those workouts, it is just really funny because you always are like a second or two faster on all of the reps.
Yeah.
How often do you get in trouble?
Every day. But I think they would be concerned if I run a workout and I hit the times, they would ask me like, what's wrong? So it's a weird dynamic because I'm like, I know that you guys like this because it's working, but then they like pretend they're like, well, you did that to yourself. And I'm like, you wrote the workout.
Do you ever think that they're now writing the workouts knowing you're going to run 2 seconds faster?
Yeah, I definitely think so, because we've had the conversation before when Coach Holloway, sometimes Saturdays he likes to get extra spicy, and he'll put one time he put like come through in 55, and I was like mad because I was like, that means I have to come through in 53. And like, you asked me to do that, and he's like, you were gonna run 55 anyway if I put 59. And I was like, yeah, but then I chose to do it, not you telling me to do it, because now there's pressure. And so they're just like, oh, whatever. And so after I read the workout, I always ask them, I'm like, what do you actually want me to run? Because I know it's faster than this. And then we talk about it.
All right, so you didn't post it yet, but I'm curious, what did you write this morning in the journal?
I actually haven't written anything.
Okay.
I usually reserve the journal for during training and competition, so I'll probably write something in a few days when we get back to working out. I'll try to get my head right for that. Yeah.
Did you go through team processing today?
Yes, yeah, I just came from there.
How did all of that sort of feel? I guess like putting on, the kit and just like, I know the paperwork is like the boring part of it, but like putting on the uniform and knowing, all right, like this is real.
Yeah. Honestly, like I feel like emotionally like overwhelmed today.
How much did you sleep?
Like 3 hours. I couldn't. I had like an adrenaline dump, so I couldn't fall asleep, and then I woke up at 6. So we're gonna work on that. I need more sleep before Paris, but yeah, I felt surreal, and like putting on the uniforms and stuff, and like starting to get teary-eyed, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. Like, I need to focus, and seeing so many other like competitors, coaches even. The Kentucky coach actually came up to me, and he was like, yeah, like I remember seeing you in Lexington, like when you were training at regionals, and he was like, you were jogging, and like I could tell something was off, like you were still limping, and he was like, I just didn't see how you were gonna do this. Mm-hmm. And like now you're here, like congratulations and stuff, and which is so nice of him to say, but I was like, why are you saying this? Like, I'm gonna start crying again. So yeah, team processing was really, really fun, but yeah, a little bit surreal.
I think last year before Budapest I think I remember asking you just sort of like, tell, the people out there, I was at USA's, just like how much of an epic battle and clash it was going to be in the women's heptathlon, at the World Championships in Budapest when you have like all of these big stars. Like for the fans, like the competition is just as good this year too.
Yeah.
Like when we kind of take, like, how are you sort of setting up sort of like those storylines in your own head?
Yeah. I think the competition's gonna be harder this year. I think it's gonna take a higher score than it did last year, and yeah, I'm excited. I think until this meet, I was like, I just need to get in the fight, and now, honestly, I was very pleasantly surprised with the 6,600 for considering we're not firing on all cylinders, and happy to see like progress in high jump and long jump, even though those didn't fully show on the paper. So now I'm like, okay, I've got like a lot of points I can chase these next 6 weeks to like really be in it to fight for gold. Nafi's in great shape. She just won Europeans, and I think hopefully Kat's healthy. I don't know what happened there, but she always shows up ready to go, just like last year. So I think it's going to be really stiff, and a lot of the girls like in that like 6,600 range. There's more girls in the 6,600 range, I think, than ever before. And usually that medals. And so I think it's going to be a really deep competition and, yeah, a big war. So
it's also awesome. USA is fielding a full team, and, like, your teammates in this one. I mean, you immediately pulled out the phone while on the track on the victory lap, and we're like, we're going to Paris. And, like, you, Shari, Talia, like, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be so fun. And I think this multi, like, it was so emotional for all of us. Like, we were all overcoming different things. And Talia especially, like, that was the grittiest like multi I've ever witnessed up close. The amount of third attempts time she had to clutch up in high jump, long jump, javelin, and like you can, when you're up close like that, like we can feel each other's emotion. So I was like so happy for her, and yeah, I can't wait to go to Paris with her. We like talk about it sometimes. Both of our dads are like big track dads, and we're like, we have to make the team for them. We said before, so I'm glad that we did.
I remember last year in Budapest, just sort of like, didn't Shari give like some epic sort of speech like to
for the 800?
Before the 800,
yes.
In a competition like this, there's no like epic speech among like everyone, is there?
No, not really.
Because like you're all battling for 3 spots.
Yeah, it was pretty tense. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I mean everyone's friendly, but yeah, it was definitely tenser. I think emotions were running high, and also I was very stressed, so I probably didn't notice all the talking as much as normal and like engaged, because I was like, I'm going to listen to like these 3 people and like speak to no one else. But yeah, definitely tense scenes in the multi-room.
Are you taking French on Duolingo or anything like that? Like just kind of to immerse yourself in the French culture?
I haven't yet. My brother-in-law is actually, his first language was French. He's
Okay.
French Canadian. So my sister speaks a little bit of French now that she's married to him. So I'm gonna learn from them. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Anna, we're looking forward to rooting for you in Paris, and congratulations. You now are an Olympian and get the tattoo after the game. We were talking about this before.
Yes. Yeah. I'll get the tattoo as soon as I get back, and I'm getting a dog. Those are like the
Wow. Do
two
you know what
to-do
kind
lists.
of dog?
An Australian Shepherd. I've been talking about this nonstop to like everyone around me for the last year. So. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you've earned all of it. All right. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you.